Greetings, everyone. We're back. Here's a short little video for you guys. I wanted to show you all this real fast. I am in South Dakota, just about an hour away from the city of the Rapid City, near Mount Rushmore and a bunch of other cool stuff. So, what's out here in the middle of nowhere, you might think? Well, during the Cold War, thousands of Minutemen missiles were stationed underground here in the Great Plains. These Minutemen missiles were called Minutemen missiles because they're supposed to be, just like the Revolutionary warriors of old, ready at a minute's notice. In response to the Soviet Union's advances in rocketry and arms and bombs, the United States invested heavily in missiles research and other types of weaponry for nuclear research in order to respond to the growing tensions and growing arms race in that time. So out here is the perfect place, strategically speaking, to house hundreds of these missile sites. Underground on places like this would be thousands, all scattered out, different missiles. These missiles will fly over the North Pole and can strike pretty much any city in Russia in about 30 minutes. It would travel a distance of over 16,000 miles. So, as the Cold War progressed and nuclear annihilation was averted, thank goodness, many of these sites were decommissioned, well, with a lot of the de-armament efforts in the preceding decades. So now we have tons of decommissioned missile silo sites like this one here, scattered all throughout the Great Plains. A very famous one that you can visit is called the Minutemen National Historical Site or Park, where you can actually get a tour of an actual control room. You go underground and you can see the control center and actually see a unarmed missile real up close. But those tours are booked really fast. It's we're in mid-July here, 2023, as of recording this video, and every single tour to see one of the Delta One launch site is completely booked all the way through September. So if you want to actually see one of these things up close, make sure to book months and months in advance. So coming up here, underground is actually a big missile silo. This was left. Many of the other missile silos were kind of destroyed and filled up, but this one was preserved for history purposes. And coming up here, you can actually peek over this edge railing, and this is what I hope with the glare you can kind of see. I'm sorry if you can't. I'll add a picture just in case, but just down below there it would be a nuclear warhead. There would be thousands of these all throughout the plains, ready to launch at any time. So I hope you can see that. I'm not sure with the glare. It's a pretty cloudy, gloomy day here, but I figured, with the Oppenheimer film coming out soon, this would provide some context for the movie if you're gonna go watch it, and provides also some historical context for the film. Lots of very interesting history out here. There's always something worth exploring, no matter where you are, even in vast open places like this. Now, these missile sites weren't 100% popular with the locals and people during the time, and they still aren't. Many ranchers and South Dakotan residents from around here, you know, so there were several lawsuits against the U.S. government over having something that could potentially blow up and destroy the world right in kind of your own backyard if you're a rancher. The opposing argument is the only way we can kind of keep the United States safe is if we follow a policy of mutually assured destruction, having enough of these missiles ready and armed in case anyone gets any funny ideas about launching an attack against us. There were many close calls where, you know, either one country, maybe the United States, perceived an incoming massive missile attack from Russia, but it was actually some sort of bug in the simulation or detection systems, and likewise Russia would think the US is sending missiles, but it would actually be maybe a satellite or something just passing by. So the world came very close to ending many times during the Cold War between the 50s and even up to the 80s. So now we live with, you know, the threat, I would say, of, you know, nuclear war still is present. We might not feel it, but it's always there. So it's very important to really understand and learn a bit of the history behind it, because, you know, history, the present is impacted by history. So I hope this was interesting. I'll link some. There was a very good video that explained on this much better than I did in the Minutemen Historical Site Visitor Center. So I will link that in the video description. It's a great video, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day. I had meant to publish some videos from my trip to Montana to Glacier National Park, but unfortunately my memory card on this GoPro device was corrupted for some reason, so I lost all that footage. So instead I will share some footage from my drone that I flew close by to give you guys a good idea of what that looks like. I'll add that here as well. But you might have last seen me from the Alaskan cruise video. Just for timeline purposes, after the Alaska cruise that left from Seattle, I spent some time in Montana, got to see Glacier National Park, did a quick stop to Theodore Roosevelt National Park in North Dakota. I drove all the way across Montana State, and now we are in South Dakota. This is probably going to be my South Dakota video. I'm actually heading up further along the interstate up there to go to the Badlands National Park now. So let's see if I can show you guys some of that as well. With that said though, take care everyone.